My name is Joe Fielding, and I'm serving as the CFO and Treasurer of the Eastern Pennsylvania Conference of the United Methodist Church. This is episode 2 of Mission in Motion, a 3-part video series discussing the ins and outs of the EPA consolidated budget legislation. In this video, I would like to respond to some questions that we've received regarding the implementation of a funds management policy and investments in the work of our mission. So let's dive right in. The first question we received was, what are designated and restricted funds? Restricted funds are contributions from individuals or groups with a restricted purpose that can only be changed by them or their estates through the legal process involving the Orphans Court. All restricted funds must be managed and dispersed according to the donor restrictions. Designated funds, on the other hand, are owned by the annual conference and can be designated for use by the annual conference members. They are overseen by a designated body, and the annual conference session may change their designated purposes as needed. This distinction will be important to understand some of the issues we've come across in the present fund policies and the need for all updated fund management policy as being presented by the Conference Council on Finance and Administration. Who do the funds belong to? An agency, the annual conference? All donated funds belong to the annual conference unless they are specifically restricted by a donor. If any funds are restricted, then EPA is the steward that manages such funds on behalf of the donor. The annual conference can only designate its own funds, and only the voting annual conference session has authority to designate funds because it is designating them on behalf of the annual conference. Next question. How does the Board of Benefits receive and manage its donated funds? In our exploration of the funds managed by the Board of Benefits, we unearthed instances where monies from different restricted and designated funds had inadvertently been pooled together. Take, for example, the main investment funds for the Board of Benefits, which originated from restricted donor money. Over time, donors have generously given to these funds. Simultaneously, we've supplemented these with funds from initiatives like Pension Sundays, special offerings, and other non-specific gifts. While we possess a legal statement indicating a certain percentage of the funds is unrestricted, we've chosen a more cautious route. We are treating the entire fund as if it is restricted to ensure proper stewardship. The annual conference acts as a steward for these funds on behalf of our donors, some of whom have made their contributions over 70 years ago. The Board of Benefits, in turn, administers these funds on behalf of the annual conference to support the benefit plans. This careful and diligent management aligns with our commitment to honor the intentions of our donors and continue our mission with financial integrity. While the Board of Benefits does have funds invested with plans at Westpath, we have chosen to have other funds managed by Fulton Bank and through the Mid-Atlantic United Methodist Foundation. The annual conference approved a resolution to invest EPA funds through the foundation sometime around 2010. Next question. The Board of Benefits is a separate corporation, so why are their funds reported here? The Board of Benefits was started as the Preachers Aid Society in the late 1800s, more than likely with designated funds since there was no clergy pension program at the time. Boards of benefits were established across the United States to manage these funds. When the denomination started a pension program, it required that every conference have a conference board of pensions. Most conferences had 2 separate agencies, one to manage the former Preachers Aid Society and one to carry out the Board of Discipline mandates. EPA chose to merge these 2 together, which means the Board of Benefits must adhere to the requirements for the reporting and operating under the Book of Discipline, while it also administers the pension and benefit programs of EPA. The board has always submitted its budget to CFA for approval and is required to submit to the annual conference. Next, what about EPA's Metro Ministries and Urban Commission? Why aren't Metro Ministries listed here? The reason is simple. Metro Ministries is an independent entity. Its funds are managed and reported by its own board, separate from our budget oversight. It's important to note that EPA has multiple bodies that work collaboratively to serve urban congregations. This includes the Urban Commission, the Commission on Equitable Compensation, the Economic Justice Council, the Cabinet, and the Board of Global Ministries. These groups are expected to collaborate in responding to the financial needs and ministry opportunities of our urban congregations. The Commission, while not mandated by the Book of Discipline, was created by the annual conference and is subject to the Conference Board of Global Ministries and Cabinet. Together, these bodies coordinate and manage the congregational and leadership development grant funding designated for the urban congregations. Why is the fund management policy necessary? Here's the unfortunate reality. Our conference has been operating somewhat blindly. The names of our funds haven't always provided clear instructions for their use. A comprehensive list of available funds has not been in existence. Even worse, some funds are unknown funds. However, over the past 6 months, our conference chancellor, Matt Morley, Bishop John Scholl, the CCFA, and other dedicated staff have labored tirelessly to bring clarity to all our funds and their intended purposes. With this new policy, we're illuminating the path forward. Each fund will now have a designated monitor, a steward, if you will. These monitors are tasked with a pivotal role to regularly share fund management reports with their teams, to ensure that funds usage align with the established policies and goals, and to verify that we've been making a positive impact. An essential part of this responsibility is to ensure funds generated from the sale of urban churches and their properties are earmarked for urban congregation and ministries, just as mandated in the Book of Discipline. This way, we're not only respecting our traditions, but also supporting the growth and service of urban faith communities. Most importantly, the responsibility of budget oversight will be shared more broadly. It's not just on the shoulders of the treasurer, the bishop, or the cabinet anymore. Everyone who interacts with designated or restricted funds plays a part in this process. In short, we're democratizing budgetary oversight, engaging more of our conference community in the stewardship of our collective resources. With transparency, accountability, and collaboration, together we will be setting a new standard for fund management. So, what is the goal and purpose of the fund management policy? Each fund is designed with a specific ministry goal in mind, and our mission is to successfully achieve them. We're committed to increasing the value of each fund, which in turn helps to support the ministry areas to become more self-sustaining. The more these funds contribute to the ministry and operations of the budget, the less we rely on apportionments. Just imagine hitting our retiree insurance target and being able to reinstate benefits for future retiring clergy. Wouldn't that be a tremendous victory? Like most nonprofit organizations, a 501c3, charities, churches, religious institutions, government agencies, nonprofit nursing homes, hospitals, and educational institutions, we are required to use fund accounting. This accounting system is designed to help nonprofit organizations effectively manage revenue streams earmarked for specific purposes. Fund accounting stands apart from for-profit accounting because it requires different methods of tracking restricted and designated funds. Each fund must be separately managed and accounted for, which adds a degree of complexity. Yet, this is a necessary step in maintaining transparent and compliant accounting procedures, ensuring each dollar is used effectively and for its intended purpose. This comprehensive approach to fund management brings us closer to our goals, driving us forward with clarity, transparency, and purpose. Now, how will the various designated funds help our mission, ministry, and basic operations? Our new funds legislation enables comprehensive reporting on all EPA funds, both restricted and designated. Each fund has a clear name, a designated purpose, and a goal where applicable. This practice empowers us to account for and report on all funds, their objectives, and their uses to the annual conference. You will see there are funds for the following areas: 1. Congregational and leadership development, 2. Camp and retreat ministries, 3. Benefits, and 4. Property. In the past, the annual conference was not privy to a comprehensive report detailing all available funds, and the use of designated funds was not officially approved. This legislation rectifies that, reporting all EPA funds in a clear, detailed manner, specifying how the funds can be accessed and how they can be used. Going forward, we will provide a thorough budget report at each annual conference session, fostering greater transparency and accountability in the management and use of our resources. And our final question: how does the fund management policy honor the biblical lessons of not storing up treasures on earth and of multiplying talents? Our fund management policy is deeply rooted in our Christian values and the teachings of the Bible. It aligns with the parable of the talents found in Matthew 25:14-30, where servants are entrusted with their master's money. The faithful servants who invest and multiply their monies are praised, while the servant who merely stores the money away without growth is rebuked. In this spirit, we see ourselves not as hoarders of wealth, but of stewards of God's given resources. We're called to invest and grow these funds, not bury them in the ground. Our goal is to use our talents, in this case the designated funds, to advance the mission and ministry and benevolences of the United Methodists in Eastern PA. Likewise, the fund management policy also honors the teachings in Matthew 6:19-20. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven. We understand this to mean that our ultimate goal isn't material wealth, but spiritual richness achieved through serving our communities and advancing our ministry. Therefore, we believe this policy does not merely serve a practical purpose, but it also manifests our commitment to living out the biblical teachings of faithful stewardship and purposeful growth. By wisely managing and growing our funds, we're not just storing up treasures on earth, but more importantly, we're investing in heavenly treasures, the well-being and spiritual growth of our communities, Eastern PA, and the world. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Mission in Motion. As we've explored today, the careful and principled management of our resources plays a critical role in furthering our mission and serving our congregations. Whether it's the responsible stewardship of donor funds, the comprehensive collaboration across different bodies, or the distinct operations of entities like the Metro and ministries, every aspect is crucial to our collective purposes. Until next time, may we continue to grow in faith and serve with love, guided by responsible stewardship.